My dad was tall, strongly built, with fair skin and golden hair. On the outskirts of Washington, D.C., he was assumed to be a white American, and people always, unequivocally, talked to him in English. When he spoke back, his English was broken. I noticed the discomfort this created and rushed to his rescue, acting as his interpreter. I sensed the unspoken towards him loud and clear, and I could tell he did too. You are not one of us. You're different. When we other, we make people less than us. We do this when we see someone as just one thing or one-dimensional, and oftentimes that one thing is perceived negatively. My family and I are originally from Colombia. There, I went to an American school growing up and learned English from an early age. We moved to the United States when I was 15. That's when I became aware of the us versus them dynamic that inevitably exists. Because I spoke English and Spanish, I felt both like us and like them. My dad did not feel the same. Our skin color, cultural background, and native language are just a few of the things by which we are classified or singled out. How we go from othering to understanding, and from othering to striving for deeper connection has been at the center of my work for years. As a journalist and documentary filmmaker, the 2016 United States election is what led me to the path I'm on, of working to bridge the divides that seemingly separate us. You may remember the discord throughout the US before and after the elections that year. Most of us watched the videos that circulated the web of people at odds with each other, yelling, cursing, finger pointing, and othering. I did my best to ignore them, but I couldn't. As a US citizen, and after many years of calling this country my home, for the first time, I really understood what my father felt. A sense of isolation, a sense of not belonging. Naturally, I was fearful and disliked my distrust towards those who supported the political candidate that I didn't. And without wanting to, I started passing down judgment on the people who didn't agree with me because I didn't understand them. Yes, othering leads to more othering. To break the cycle, I asked myself, how can we heal the deeply entrenched divides that fuel so much violence and hatred? One day, driving past a bus stop full of people of different backgrounds and age groups and going about their lives in different ways, I remembered something my dad used to tell me. Maria Julianita, as he called me, look at all those people. Each of them has a story. Each of them is their own universe. Could this be the answer? What if we gave ourselves the opportunity of sharing our stories with each other? Could we expand our universes and come to understand our differences? It was clear that distance was breeding hostility. Hatred is fueled by fear, by lack of understanding. So having people get to know each other seemed like a natural solution. So I set out to produce a documentary that brought together people on opposite ends of the ideological spectrum. It was my deep desire that they would connect on a human level despite their differences. It was my hope that as proximity increased between my film participants, so would their understanding of each other. And here are their stories. Tawana is pro-life, and Linda is pro-choice. Linda and Tawana both had abortions. Tawana deeply regretted her decision and is convinced that it prevented her from having other children. Linda, who was coerced into a physically and sexually abusive relationship, is certain that her abortion saved her life. Todd stands for gun rights, and Alea fights for gun reform. Todd lives with muscular dystrophy and chooses to carry a gun to protect his family. And Alea experienced what no one should go through: hiding under a dead body to survive a horrific school shooting. Tony is an advocate for tight immigration laws and supports building a wall along the Mexico-US border. Kelsey crossed the Mexico-US border with her family as a young girl. As an attorney now, she cannot fathom closing the door of opportunity to others. In each of the encounters, the participants went in wanting to convince their counterpart that their position was right, wanting to win. Fear is easily activated during difficult conversations, and we shut down. We are so steadfast in our positions that we miss the gift of connection. In fact, this is precisely what happened to the participants who stood on both sides of the immigration issue. And in that case, there was no resolution because there was no connection. But across the complex issues of abortion and guns, Tawana, Linda, Todd, and Alea were able to transcend their differences because they listened. They opened their hearts to the experience of the other in a way we're not used to or know how to as a society. They connected on a human level while still disagreeing. I noticed that it takes a great amount of courage to listen with empathy. I titled the film Listen, went on to explore the power of listening, and launched a movement and workshop series called Listen Courageously. And here's some of what I've learned. It's uncomfortable to listen to people who are different from us. But as long as someone's opposing belief is not denying your existence, and if respect is present, you can listen courageously. Here's how. The first condition is for you to want to have a conversation, but for the right reasons, with a desire to learn about the other person. This is accomplished with genuine curiosity. The second condition is presence. To do this, we stop ourselves from thinking, how is it that I'm going to respond to what's being shared? And we catch ourselves when overanalyzing what's being said, and instead, we simply listen. Thirdly, we enter difficult conversations by withholding ego, letting go of the urge to control the outcome, and stopping ourselves from trying to change people's opinions. And lastly, by withholding judgment, by catching ourselves when jumping into conclusions about people, their morals, and their character. It comes with the recognition that when we go into difficult conversations wanting to be right or wanting to win, we always lose. Once the participants in the documentary met these conditions, they realized they had a lot more in common than they previously thought. And most importantly, they connected over shared values, shared pains, and shared experiences. Despite still being pro-life and pro-choice, Linda and Tawana connected over the shared pain of their abortions. And at the end of the day, they both want to educate women on their choices, even though those choices are different. And despite their differences regarding arms, Todd and Alea connected over shared values. They both want to protect or safeguard what's most precious to them. And they clearly have different ideas about how to do it. Both groups set their agendas aside and listened without the need to coerce or convince. You can see their transformation from judgment to understanding. Tawana said to Linda, "I know we don't agree, but I do understand why you made the choice that you made." And Todd said to Alea, "I understand why you would have a view on guns in the way that you do." Once, one of the participants in each of the pairs acknowledged the other's experience and pain, it made the other person want to do the same. This gave way to beautiful discoveries like, "We are different, but I can feel your generosity, and I didn't think I could do that." It takes one person to initiate listening, but two at least to sustain it. Past the issues and past the triggers, we can see people in their full capacity as multidimensional. Disconnection is one of the evils of our time, and it hurts us. We must understand that the separation that sets some against others is an illusion. You are different from him, and she is different from you. And isn't that the one thing we have in common? That we are all different? It turns out my dad was right. Everyone does have a story. I've seen time and time again how learning about each other expands us. Through our stories, we discover each other and form bonds we never thought were possible. As beings, we can connect with other beings at the level of who we truly are. If the humanity in me fails to recognize the humanity in you, then I fail to recognize the humanity in myself. So I invite you to enter difficult conversations with courage and with willingness to listen, to be curious, to be present, and to withhold ego and judgment. Othering is a choice, but listening is also a choice. We can heal what divides us when we listen courageously.